So today I am going to explain Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 144. In this chapter, we will learn how to unseal Gojo Satoru, and we will also learn about Kenjaku's plan. If you haven't yet watched chapters 139 to 142, then you must watch those first, because without them, you won't understand what is happening here. The link will be in the description. Then the scene shifts, and we are shown Naoya fighting Choso, where Naoya is overpowering him because of his technique. Choso has no other option, so he uses the same technique on Naoya that he had once used on Yuji. During the fight, they exchange many words, but Naoya badly injures Choso, making him bleed continuously. Even after losing so much blood, Choso is still alive, which shocks Naoya, because no one should be able to stay alive after such blood loss, let alone fight. However, Choso is still able to control his blood, and with this power, he manages to clash with Naoya and even defeat him. Just then, Yuta Okotsu arrives, dragging Yuji behind him. Yuta punches Choso, knocking him unconscious, then heals Naoya and tells him, "Inform the higher-ups that Yuji is dead." The scene then shifts to Yuji's past, where Yuji is in his father's lap and Yuji's mother is revealed. Yuji's grandfather shouts that he knew Yuji's father wanted a child, and since he could not have a child with Kaori, who was now dead, he chose another way. It is revealed that Kaori was Yuji's father's first wife. At that moment, another woman appears and asks Yuji's grandfather, "Father-in-law, what kind of conversation is happening here?" On her forehead, a stitch is clearly visible. This is the woman Yuji's grandfather warned about, saying, "If you stay with her, you will die." Yuji then suddenly opens his eyes, meaning he comes back to life, and in front of him sits Yuta. Yuji is shocked and wonders how he is alive and why Yuta is sitting there. Seeing Yuji's reaction, Yuta laughs and explains. He tells Yuji that Gojo Sensei had told him, "No matter what happens to me, take care of Yuji, because after I'm gone, everyone will try to kill him, since he is Sukuna's vessel." By everyone, he meant the higher-ups. That is why Yuta killed Yuji, and as soon as Yuji's heartbeat stopped, Yuta's contract with the higher-ups was fulfilled. After that, Yuta used reverse cursed technique to revive Yuji. Yuta had already heard that even if Yuji dies, he can still come back alive, so he assumed that as long as Sukuna exists inside him, Yuji could always be revived. This was Yuta's plan, because in this way, Yuji's execution would be lifted, since, in the eyes of the higher-ups, Yuji was already dead. They would not try to kill him again. While this conversation continues, Megumi enters the scene and asks Yuji to come with him to participate in the Culling game, but Yuji firmly refuses to return to Jujutsu Society, because many innocent people have died because of him, and he does not want his friends, especially Megumi, to be put in danger. Megumi insists that it wasn't Yuji's fault, but Yuji knows that Megumi is saying this only because he is his friend. Megumi then reveals that Noritoshi Kamo has already started the Culling game, and in order to save his sister, he needs Yuji's help. Where Megumi tells Yuji that Noritoshi Kamo has made a plan to force all Jujutsu sorcerers into the Culling game. His sister Tsumiki has also been dragged into it. Megumi begs Yuji for his help and says, "I need your strength." This makes Yuji remember his grandfather's words. "You are a strong kid, so you must use that strength to help people." Yuji then tells Yuta that Sukuna is planning something with Megumi. He also explains that Sukuna was able to take control of his body during Shibuya because Yuji swallowed 10 fingers at once. Yuji has eaten a total of 15 fingers, and he says, even if he eats the remaining 5, Sukuna will not be able to control his body. But if Sukuna does take over, then Yuji asks them not to hesitate to kill him. Yuji says he believes they can do it. Yuta replies that he will do what he can. Yuji then asks Megumi what they should do now. Megumi explains that first, they must go to Jujutsu High, find Master Tengen, and discover the way to unseal Gojo Sensei. they must also learn what Noritoshi Kamo's intentions are and what his future moves might be. The culling game, Megumi says, is the biggest act of terrorism in Jujutsu Kaisen history, something that has never happened before, and it must be stopped. Yuji asks if Tsumiki might know something, but Megumi clarifies that it was actually Tsumiki's idea to hide in Jujutsu High to avoid the higher-ups. Yuta then explains about Master Tengen's barrier, which is the biggest problem. Outside the tomb are 1,000 doors that constantly shift positions, and only one of them leads to Tengen. Yuji points out that if they don't choose the correct door, they will never reach Tengen. Yuji apologizes to Megumi and asks about Nobara, but Megumi stays silent, and Yuji understands from this silence. Just then, Choso appears behind Megumi, shocking him. Choso asks about the barrier, and Yuta says, "So you've been listening?" Yuji questions what Choso means, and Choso explains that once, Mahito freed Sukuna's finger and the death-painting wombs from a cursed warehouse. If Mahito could track them, then they can do the same. The scene then shifts to a bunker where the four of them enter. Inside are already Maki and Kusakabe. Maki looks extremely badass here, with her body half burned by Jogo, and her scars make her look even cooler, almost like a goddess. As Yuji arrives, he respectfully calls her Maki-senpai, to which she replies bluntly, saying it hasn't been that long since they last met. Yuji also greets Tsumiki. Yuta asks Maki if she's okay walking around like this, and Tsumiki explains that she cannot help because Maki's scars cannot be healed, not even by reverse curse technique. She adds that she never expected someone with a heavenly restriction to survive like this. It is because of her heavenly restriction that Maki lived. Tsumiki also mentions how tragic it was for the clan head, as Jogo had killed the Zenin clan leader. Maki then asks Megumi about Tengen's barrier, but Choso interrupts and says he will explain. He tells them that between the gates and the tomb lies a warehouse where cursed tools and cursed objects are stored. Among them are the remains of his brothers. If they are all kept together, he can track their cursed energy. Tsumiki says that is good, but Maki interrupts, asking, "Who is this anyway?" The group falls silent because how could they explain that this man had once tried to kill Yuji? But Yuji breaks the silence by saying, "Think of him as my big brother." Choso is stunned, since Yuji had never once called him brother until now. Overwhelmed, Choso shouts Yuji's name, and Yuji simply says, "Let's go." They approach a gate where Choso explains that his brothers are inside. When they open it, they find themselves in a jungle-like area. Tsumiki points out a lift that will take them to the tomb. They move forward into the forest-like place until they reach a warehouse. Yuji asks Choso about it, and Choso replies that he knows where to go. He heads to the warehouse, saying he will not take long. Inside are the preserved bodies of his brothers. After this, the group takes the lift down. As they exit the lift, Yuji notices bloodstains on the ground and asks what happened here. Tsumiki explains that this happened 11 years ago, and now, when she thinks about it, it feels like everything started from here. She reveals that this is the same place where Toji and Geto fought. She points out that the main shrine is just ahead. When they reach it, they find nothing. Yuji says there's nothing here, but Megumi confirms this is the main shrine. Tsumiki corrects them, saying it's not that there's nothing here, the shrine is rejecting them. In her mind, she realizes it is not rejecting everyone, but only her. Megumi becomes worried because Tsumiki doesn't have much time left. Yuta suggests they should leave, and just as they turn to go, a voice calls out from behind, "Aren't you leaving a bit too quickly?" They turn around and see a strange creature standing there. The creature says, "I'm very pleased to meet you," and it clearly knows all of them. And with that, the chapter ends. So that's all for today's video. Before leaving, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because I will be explaining all the Jujutsu Kaisen chapters, and if you want to see more anime-related videos, you can subscribe. Sayonara.